Hello, my name is Sean Wren. This is the Bear Cave, and welcome to the Movie Fancast. So, what is the Movie Fancast? It's a simple premise, really. Myself and the guest will talk about a movie they would like to create. It starts with the genre, if it's a current or original IP. Then we will talk about if they're the director or producer, the budget, if it comes to it, and then most importantly, the cast. And if we get time at the end, sometimes about the score as well. Now, my guest today is the independent film critic and #1 spooky girl, Clarisse Loughrey. Now, let's kick it off to myself and Clarisse to see what movie they would like to create. But before we start, would you like to give a little background to who you are?
Oh my God, who am I? I am the chief film critic at The Independent, and I also occasionally sub in on Commode and Mayo's film show on BBC 5 Live. And yeah, that's what I do.
Right, so the first part of this is what genre have you picked?
Yeah, like Gothic. It's a Gothic horror. Have I given it away because I've done this Zoom background?
No?
I'm sorry, everyone. This is a little clue.
So why Gothic horror?
Because I am a goth. I've got facts. I'm a big old goth. It's my favorite genre, and also it's incredibly tricky to tackle it on film. And I feel like maybe like 78% of the time it goes wrong because it's a quite archaic genre. I mean, it's very specific to the time period that it was created within, which is sort of, I guess, late 18th century, early 19th century. And yeah, like it feels old and stuffy, and it's hard to, and also people see the horror bit of Gothic horror and they get confused because they go, oh, this movie's not scary.
Right.
So I'm here to do it right, to
Okay,
give it the respect it deserves.
got you. So this would be a period piece, or is it modern day?
Yes, it would be a period piece.
Right, so will you be producer or director?
Oh no, I'm not directing. Yeah, I'll be producer because I don't really trust anybody else with it.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll be in the room. I won't do that much, but if someone starts steering in the wrong direction, I'll be like, nope.
Okay. In that case, have you chosen a studio in mind for the project?
Well, considering what the project is and who owns the IP, it would have to be Disney because I don't want to get sued.
Right.
I feel like I have no choice on this one.
Okay. Right. So is it Disney in the sense of actual Disney film, or are you able to nudge you around and go into Fox, Disney-owned Fox now?
I don't think they'd let me. I think it would be main Disney, Walt Disney Pictures, the castle. It would start with the castle and the little thing going over,
Okay.
you know, how
Yeah.
Disney movies start.
So I'm guessing so this will be a film for not the whole family, but a PG-13.
Yeah, maybe not little tiny kids, but okay, how can I dance around this? The film would be appropriate for the same audience that can enjoy the thing it's adapting,
Right.
if
Okay.
that makes sense.
Yes. Right. You segued perfectly there. What would you like to adapt? And I'm guessing it's a current IP. So
Yes, I would like to adapt the Disneyland ride that is the Haunted Mansion, which I know Disney already did. The Eddie Murphy movie from I think 2003. That was bad. We don't like to talk about it. So I'm here to do it right.
okay. Perfect. Because I was going to bring that up. So right, that's perfect. Because I was going to say Eddie Murphy has done a Haunted Mansion. So this is going to be completely different.
Yeah. I will say that movie got a lot of the production design right. So, it would maybe visually look a little bit similar,
Right.
but the comedy, the story, the tone, the characters, no, we're not doing that.
Perfect. Right. So with being Disney and being a current IP, have you got an idea for budget? Because I would say anything under 100 would be ideal.
So okay, because this is based on who the director is. So I looked up the budget of a film that I think would be quite similar to this,
Okay.
which I won't spoil because then it will spoil who the director is. And that was made for 55 million,
Okay.
which I think we would have to go quite low because this is going to be a very niche movie. A lot of people probably won't get it. But we're serving, quite a dedicated fan base who will turn up. They'll watch it 3 times. They'll watch it 4 times. So I feel like let's start low budget, but high returns, hopefully.
Okay. Perfect. That's what I like to hear. Who is your director?
Guillermo del Toro, which is not surprising because he's been trying to pitch this. I'm basically here to help Guillermo del Toro's dream come true because this has been one of his many abandoned projects. And it makes me so sad that this movie doesn't exist. Like every once in a while, like at the dead of night, I will sit up and just go, I'm never gonna get my Haunted Mansion movie. Like I'm never gonna get it. It's all I want. It's all I want. And I'm never gonna get it. And it breaks my heart.
Okay. If because this is a failed, I don't want to use failed as a term.
Yeah, because I will say it's not over.
No.
I think in 2019 he said they liked the script and it could still happen. We have hope, guys.
Okay. If we can't get Guillermo, when you told me this idea, if I pitched to you Bong Joon-ho, produced by Guillermo, is that a yes that you would change it for that, or do you specifically want Guillermo?
I would specifically want Guillermo because Guillermo is a Haunted Mansion fan, and I know that he respects the original property, and he would do it right. Obviously, director Bong is a genius, and I'm sure whatever he would make would be amazing. But I personally do not know if Bong Joon-ho is a fan of Disney's Haunted Mansion. So I don't know if he'd actually want to do it, but I think like aesthetically in terms of, because he's such a master of genre, and because this is such a tricky genre, I think he'd find a really interesting way to do it.
Right. I'm guessing you've as you've really pointed out that this is like a little passionate project for him. Was Crimson Tide a little idea as a post to say, this is the kind of movie that he would make?
Crimson Peak, yeah. So the budget of Crimson Peak was 55 million. So I nixed the budget from that because I think Crimson Peak aesthetically looks right for me for Haunted Mansion in terms of like there are special effects in it, but it's not pushing so far into CGI like monstrosity that you're losing the texture of it, because the Haunted Mansion is all about like textures, like the wood and the chandeliers and the cobwebs and the fabrics, and so you want to keep all of that in there and have like really big, elaborate, well done sets, and then a little bit of special effects to help.
And it was one of the. I love Guillermo's work anyway, but I'm not a big horror fan. And when I went in to see Crimson Peak, I was a bit worried that I was going to be scared. But it is the perfect Gothic horror in that sense, similar to like Limehouse Golem, which I think can be similar in tone, because I found that like a Gothic horror but not scary. So I could show that to possibly 12-year-olds to say, it's not a scary movie, but you will get a Gothic horror theme.
Oh, if Crimson Peak came out when I was 12, it would have been my entire life. Because when I was 12, I was obsessed with Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow, which is also, I think, a really great example of Gothic horror, like a little bit more like on the horror side, I guess, a little bit more like mainstreamy. Does that sound right? Yes. But yeah, so I think 12-year-olds could really dig Crimson Peak, also could really dig my Haunted Mansion movie. That's going to be amazing. I'm really selling this, I'm sorry.
I know. Go ahead. So what is the story of the Haunted Mansion? What is your story of the Haunted Mansion?
Well, this is the bit that I found really tricky because there is this whole sort of fandom culture around the Haunted Mansion that creates its own stories, and so there's about 5 different stories that are like, you know, the background of the Haunted Mansion. And I don't know which one I prefer. None of them are really canon, because if you actually go on the ride, it's just a series of vignettes, and there's not any clear A to B path on it. But my understanding is that the movie Guillermo del Toro is trying to pitch would actually involve all the different haunted mansions from the different parks around the world. So there's going to be multiple haunted mansions. There's like the original one in California. There's one in Paris. There's one in Tokyo. There's one in Hong Kong. And so he was going to find a way to get them. They're all in a network that comes down to this one character called the Hatbox Ghost, who is legendary within the Haunted Mansion fandom, because basically it was an animatronic that appeared on opening day of the ride, and then he disappeared, and so he was a myth for years, and then he finally came back. Oh, I don't even know when, like a few years ago they finally brought him back, and it was so exciting. It was like justice. And so I love that Guillermo del Toro really respects that character, because that's like high key Haunted Mansion nerdiness, like pure nerd. Like to be obsessed with that particular character. So I think I would want to respect. I'm not smarter than Guillermo del Toro, so I'm going to respect what his story was. And so I would have like a network. He's the central figure, and then I think you would need some kind of like audience perspective, like a character who can be the audience. So I would imagine he'd be like whatever the old-timey, like an old-timey Ghostbuster. Like he'd be one of those guys who's like, I believe in science, ghosts aren't real, and then he comes in and he sees a million ghosts, and by the end of the movie he's like, I've changed my mind. They are real. Okay. A bit like Crimson Peak, when she goes, that's her whole monologue of like, ghosts are real.
Right, okay. Now let's go to the cast. Who have you got in mind for your characters?
Okay, so
in a cast first. Is it an ensemble piece, or is it like there's a main starring cast and whatnot?
Yeah, I think you would want an ensemble piece and lots of little cameos, because the whole thing with the Haunted Mansion is that it's 99 ghosts, and hey, do you want to be the 100th? That's like the whole thing with that ride. And so, yeah, I think you would have a few sort of more central characters in terms of who owns the mansion, who's driving the story of each individual mansion. And then obviously you would have to have this central figure. But I think outside of that, you would have just lots of cameos. I love cameos.
Yes. And because it's Disney, you're going to have cameos from Star Wars and Marvel.
Well, yeah, that is kind of the logic I took with this, because I know that Disney like to, I don't know, be a bit incestuous with their casting. And so it's all sort of people who have been in Disney movies before, because I am determined to make this movie sell. So I've got big names, and...
Okay. Right, so we're going to go with this budget with big names. Right, let's see. Right, so who have you cast first?
So as our sort of audience viewpoint guy, I have brought in Ryan Gosling, because he was like originally signed. He's actually been signed to whatever this Guillermo del Toro project is that will eventually happen one day. And I would not give him any direction. I would tell Guillermo, just let him do whatever weird little thing that Ryan Gosling wants to do. And so he'd like come in with like a weird mustache, or I don't know, some weird haircut, like something weird. There'd be something weird about him, and it'd be really nice. And also because he is a gigantic Haunted Mansion nerd fan, there is an incredible video of him. I don't know what's happening in it. There's like 2 girls have stopped him in a car park and they're talking about the Haunted Mansion holiday, which is the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay on the Haunted Mansion. And he just goes off on one. He's like, no, like, I'm not into this because it's Christmas during Halloween. Because they like, this really frustrates me as well. They have this like Christmas overlay that they open on Halloween, but it's like the Haunted Mansion is the ultimate Halloween ride. What are you doing? What are you doing? It's really frustrating. And so I like that he shares that passion. So he gets to be the main star of this movie.
Okay. Who is next on your call sheet?
God, I don't know, because like I don't know who's like the second biggest character in this. So I've sort of like picked out a few like big characters from the ride. Okay. First off, we have the guy who owns not officially, not in canon, but a lot of fans say he's the owner of the original Haunted Mansion, called Edward Gracie or Master Gracie. And there's no good logic to who I cast for this. I cast Alden Ehrenreich just because I love him and I want him to be in more movies. I don't know if there's any further justification to that.
Right, all I can say is that because if he's saying he's been the owner of these houses, then surely he should be more of an older character in that sense. Maybe a Patrick Stewart, just hamming it up a little bit.
He's a ghost, though. All of these people died young.
Okay, right.
These are okay. I should warn you. Everybody's a ghost on this cast, except for everybody? Yeah, straight up, everybody's a ghost.
Okay.
Okay, no, there's two characters. The Ryan Gosling character will not be a ghost, and there's one other character who would not be a ghost. But everybody else is ghosts.
Okay, so this is your main ghost.
I guess so. Yeah, I would personally include 3 houses. So I would include the original Disneyland Haunted Mansion, is the white one that you probably recognize from photos. Then I'd include the one in Paris, which is called Phantom Manor, and that is more of a Western style house. So that's like old timey Western cowboys. And then I would include the Hong Kong Haunted Mansion, which is called Mystic Manor. And that one actually doesn't have ghosts in it because when they were building Hong Kong Disneyland, they realized that in Chinese culture, like ghosts aren't really like, ooh, spooky fun. You know, it's kind of more serious, like ancestors that you revere and take time to, you know, like you don't make a silly haunted attraction about them. So they went in a completely different direction and did more of a magic spirit, like inanimate objects coming alive, kind of like Night at the Museum vibe.
Okay.
I don't know how that would all fit in, but I trust Guillermo.
Yeah.
He'll figure it out. That's not my problem to figure out. That's his problem. As producer, I don't have to do this part.
No, you're just focusing on one. Okay, so that's your first ghost. Who is your second ghost for the Paris?
Okay, so you've got Master Gracie, who's the owner of the Disneyland house. And then there's a great character on the ride called Constance Hatchaway, who's basically the Black Widow. She's had 4 husbands. They all died mysteriously. She's now fabulously wealthy. And for this, I wanted to cast Gugu Mbatha Raw, who's another actor I really love and wish I could see in more stuff. Yeah. And also, I don't think I've ever seen her play a villainous role. And Constance Hatchaway is kind of like she's pretty, I don't know if she's a full-out villain, but she is a murderer. Yeah. So that would define her character quite a bit. And she's quite mischievous because in the ride, she's all like, till death do we part. And then she has a little axe. So
oh, no.
I think it would be fun.
You cast her Gugu. That's just brilliant. I love her as well.
Yeah, and just to get her, like a lot of my casts, I was thinking some of them are really playing to type, and then a couple of them I'm like, I want to see them do different things.
Yeah, which is right. So that's your 2 ghosts. Which is your third ghost?
Okay, who else is? Oh, I haven't said who's going to play the Hatbox Ghost.
Okay.
So the Hatbox Ghost is a full-on skeleton. So I'm thinking, who's good at? I don't know if this would be CGI or probably heavy makeup. And I've just been boring and gone with Andy Serkis because he can do that stuff. And you know,
Yeah.
we're
Okay.
playing it safe. We've gone full Andy Serkis.
Yeah. So Toby Kebbell didn't come into mind at all.
Maybe, but then I feel like Andy Serkis can do a great Cockney accent, and I feel like maybe the Hatbox Ghost would have a Cockney accent because he's got a big top hat, he's got a big cape, and then he's holding a hat box which has his own head in it.
Okay.
Very clever joke. Everyone laughs. So again, he's one of the more mischievous ghosts, and so I would imagine Andy Serkis could make him a bit funny and scary. That's the thing. He needs to be funny and scary.
Right. Yeah, which is you can do both. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, you said there was two quote unquote human characters. So which is the second human character? Would this be a love interest or just a rival in some sort of ways?
No, there's no love in this movie. I've decided. Everyone is sad and dead.
Okay.
So the owner of the Hong Kong mansion, which is the non-ghost mansion, is a man called Lord Henry Mystic, who I don't know that much about. He's an explorer and a collector, and he has a big mustache. So I went with J.K. Simmons.
Hey.
Big mustache. J.K. Simmons, big mustache. He has a little pet monkey. So imagine big mustache, little monkey. I feel like it would work.
Yes. Does he wear a big hat? With his
I'm
big...
trying to remember now. I think he has like a little, like either a fez or a sleeping cap. I'm trying to remember now. So like a little hat, because the big hat is already going to Andy Serkis, so we're going small hat.
Tiny hat, big mustache, and J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
That's that's an image that I want in real life now.
Okay, who else have we got? Okay, we've got very famous characters from the Haunted Mansion, the Hitchhiking Ghosts, which are just three dudes with like their thumbs out, being like, "Hey." That's pretty much all they do. But they, again, would be very much comic relief in this. So I went with a combination of Peter Dinklage, Nathan Fielder, and Eric Andre, because I just feel like there's interesting energy there. I don't know, because we've never seen them all together before, and I feel like they're all a bit anarchic, and I would just like to see them together in a room and see what happens.
I would throw a name in there that he's working with Peter Dinklage now and has worked in a similar franchise in Jason Momoa. He hasn't done a more of a comedic road, but...
True. But the Hitchhiking Ghosts are they've all got beards and they're on the more elderly side. So I want to see like them all in like, fun like old age makeup with like really long beard. Like their beards all go down to the bottom. I feel like Jason Momoa is too, let's say, like conventionally attractive for this role.
Okay.
Not to diss on the people I have cast who are attractive in their own sense, but you know what he's too muscly. He's too muscly for this role.
Okay. And who else have you got for these other characters, ghost-wise?
Okay, another famous one I should take off is Madame Leota. She's basically a head in a crystal ball who summons all the ghosts and awakens all the ghosts.
Okay.
And she just has a very booming voice, and you hear her on the ride, and she's like, oh god, I can't even remember the lines now, but she's like, "Here come ghosts, come one all, and awaken to the sound of the Grell's bell." So I went Jessica Lange because I feel like she could do that voice.
I would say
and she's fabulous.
On the other side, Oprah. If you're saying a big voice to summon ghosts, Oprah.
Yes. Well, yeah, because she did Wrinkle in Time. And that's a similar vibe to Madame Leota. I mean, obviously this is way more gothic because she is a head on a crystal ball and not like a wonderful nature goddess. But I could definitely see that. I could see that happen.
Okay. Is there any other big names that you've got in mind for these characters?
I have 3 more. Shall I rattle through them? Sorry, I went too hard on this.
No. I want to know who these 3 characters are.
Okay, so the one mansion we haven't covered is the old western one, Phantom Manor, which is actually has a storyline.
Okay.
I mean, it's quite difficult to tell from the ride. You might have to write it 3 or 4 times to figure out what's going on, but there is a story. And to condense it into as short a time as possible as I can, there's a guy called Henry Ravenswood. He owns the manor, and he has this beautiful daughter, Melanie Ravenswood, but he's very protective of her. So she keeps getting engaged,
Okay.
and then the fiancés keep mysteriously dying. And then Henry Ravenswood dies in an earthquake, and he returns as this man called the Phantom, hence Phantom Manor.
Mm.
And he's still very protective over his daughter, and as a big spooky skeleton man, still tries to ruin all her marriages. And so she withers away in sadness, bridally sadness, and she's in her wedding gown looking in the mirror going, oh, Papa, why have you ruined my life? So for the dad, I went with Giancarlo Esposito, who I think brilliant villains, but often doesn't get the really like meaty villain roles, and this is a meaty villain role because he would be like the Phantom is very eerie on the ride because it's like it's just a skull with like these red eyes sort of glaring at you from like the corner of the room. So
he would bring
I think
the scare factor. He would bring.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not funny. He's like the chilling.
Yeah.
The non-mischievous, pure bad guy character. I really thought this through, haven't I?
Yeah, perfect. I do it all the time. It's fine. I do it all the time.
And then the daughter would be played by Lupita Nyong'o, because I don't know, I want to see her play like a like pretty like princess role and feel like sad and big poofy dresses and big hair and just in her wedding gown all sad. I feel like she'd have fun with that.
Yeah. Can I just throw a name in there just so that in case we can't get Lupita in Ella Balanska, who was in Charlie's Angels, who's a really up and coming actress, and in 23, so she would fit that young daughter role who keeps getting getting scared off. Her husband's fiancés get scared away or mysteriously go away, and then you've got. I know you said there's no love interest, but I think you could really work something with the Alden Ehrenreich character and this daughter.
Sure. Oh, but they're like in separate houses, so they'd have to communicate through Madame Leota. That's the only way they could express their love, their ghostly love for each other.
Yeah, and that's where you bring Oprah.
That's where we bring Oprah in.
Yes, that's
floating in her little crystal ball. Like, hi! It's me, Madame Leota.
So this daughter can finally find true love.
Yes. With the help of Ryan Gosling, confused man, little mustache, Ryan Gosling.
Yes. And who is this third ghost that you got?
So there's not really like a major character on the rides, but there's this portrait called April to December where it starts off, it's like a changing portrait, and it starts off as a beautiful young woman in April, and then it shifts through the season, and she kind of grows older, but also like more, I don't know, more like, yeah, I've been having a party. I don't know. I can't find the right word for that right now. But like her dress is a bit more like boobage, and like her hair's a bit like, whew. So I just feel like that character's like lived a life and I want to know what that life is. So I would include her as a full-blown character who could maybe be a ghost that rapidly like ages and then Benjamin Buttons back.
Yes.
That could be a cool power.
Oh, that'd be great.
And the whole thing with April is she's like very beautiful. So I went with Constance Wu, who not Constance Wu, yeah, who I think, I don't know, she's just gorgeous, and like I think has a bit of that mischievous side to her as well. So I think she could do the transitions well.
Yeah, and you know, she's becoming a bigger name thanks to Crazy Rich Asians. That smashed it out of the park and stuff like that. So you know, that's perfect in my eyes. As you said, she can, you know, she can Benjamin Button.
Yeah, she could Benjamin Button from beautiful young Constance Wu, and then she like goes through being like, I've been like, I don't know, maybe she has a little champagne glass being like, yeah, I'm living life. And then she grows older, and then she's like one of those like cool ladies who have just cool older ladies who have been through it all.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? That car sounds perfect.
Thank you. We're gonna make so much money.
I know. Have you got an idea? Because music, I love music in films and scores and stuff like that. Have you got an idea who would come and score the movie? Because I mean, I'm going to say these names quite a lot in these like interviews, but Trent Reznor and Atticus Scott.
Yes, maybe I don't. The thing is, I love the original music so much. Like, it'd be someone who could adapt the original score really well. I feel like, yeah, you'd want someone more traditional. I mean, Danny Elfman actually scored the Mystic Manor ride.
Okay.
So I'm almost leaning towards a Danny Elfman, which is kind of an obvious choice, but maybe you want the obvious choice in this circumstance.
Well, you got Alexander Desplat, who did Tarantino.
Yeah.
You know, Shape of Water.
Oh, we could get maybe Rachel Portman, because she does period pieces really she has really good at the romantic side, and if you wanted to bring out the romantic side of the Gothic horror, if we're having this ghostly love story, she could write the themes for that really well.
And then there's another name that just pops in my head. He does like, I know it's like, it was horror-y, Gothic kind of way. I don't know if you liked Joker, but the score with Hilda Gudendorf.
Yeah.
Just have her and her cello, and just
maybe, yeah.
Or do a collaboration.
That would be too scary. Like, what? I feel like she would make it like full on. I'm scared. Like, I feel like that's what I would like to. Yeah, I want to see her do more straight horror. I feel like.
Okay.
But maybe too. Like, I don't want anybody too intense, I guess, or too edgy. Like, this is not an edgy movie.
Okay.
I'm going to be upfront about it. It's not an edgy movie at all. We are playing for maximum merchandise sales.
Perfect.
Right.
So, who was your final choice for the score? Is it?
Oh, now I'm torn. I don't know. Rachel. Let's do Rachel Portman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's mix it up.
Yeah.
Not go for the obvious.
Yeah. So finally, the only thing that we need to worry about now is release date. Is this a October release?
Oh yeah. Halloween, absolutely. It's coming out on Halloween. Halloween 2022. Get ready.
Well, there you go, Clarisse. That is your haunted Guillermo del Toro haunted mansion.
Yeah, which the title would officially be Guillermo del Toro's Haunted Mansion.
Yes.
Or would it have to be Haunted Mansions? No, let's keep it simple. Yeah. Haunted Mansion.
Because the only thing I've got in mind with the whole, is it like a parallel portal that these houses connect to, or is it you go through one door and you're in another house sort of situation? If we're connecting all of these.
No, because I want those. I love the Indiana Jones style map.
Okay.
Of the little boat traveling across, and Ryan Gosling's on the little boat and he travels across the map. But maybe they can communicate to each other through Madame Leota, because she can see all in her little crystal ball.
Okay. Well, there you go. That is Guillermo del Toro's Haunted Mansion, brought to you by Clarisse.
Thank you for inviting me on.
if Clarisse's excitement and knowledge about the Haunted Mansion didn't get you excited about this movie, I don't know what will. I mean, it's going to be better than the Eddie Murphy movie. So, once again, thank you, Clarisse, for appearing on the show. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you thought in the comment section below. Follow myself at Sean_Wren, SHAUN_WREN on Twitter. All bits and pieces will be in the description below. And I hope to see you again next time.